Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine Thing Magazine, put in a geek, and here you are, and you have me, and we're here, and we're all here. Today we're talking about the products, Vegas and Movie Studio. A couple years ago, I reviewed the differences between 13, and now 14 is out in both Vegas and Movie Studio. So we're going to take Vegas 14 versus Movie Studio 14, throw it in the ring, and tell you which one should you buy. Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in geek, of course. Now, if you've been following in the video world, you know that Vegas was actually sold. Sony had it, and now it's a company called Magix, which is based in the UK. And the idea is that they're going to buy it, and they're going to build it up and continue on with. And there were a lot of questions as to what was going to happen with it. But it's got definitive word that they're going to build it in, and they're going to continue the Vegas products, even though Magix has its own line of video products. The Vegas line will stick around, and the Movie Studio line will stick around. And that is where we're coming in here now. About a month ago, I got, I've had Vegas 14 for a couple months now. I got Movie Studio 14. We're just checking out all the differences. Now, the biggest difference, and I'll show you this right away, it's straightforward. The biggest difference is the price tag. And right here, Movie Studio Platinum is $79.99, whereas Vegas Pro starts at $599. So as you can see, there's a lot of difference in price because there is a lot of differences in the two programs. And you might not need all those differences if you're just making vlogs or anything like that, and you just don't want to use Movie Maker or any of the other programs. You want to have something solid that'll bring in a lot of different cool options. Now, let's just get this out of the way. This is all the differences that Vegas 14 and Movie Studio 14 between the two right here. This list right here. This is all the differences. Everything that would be that 14 Vegas 14 would have, that Movie Studio 14 would have. And you're going, okay, yeah, so this doesn't help me too much. So let's break it down. We're going to actually just simplify this a little bit. So basically, out of this list, it's the project export. It's the supporting of high frame rates, especially if you're doing sports type stuff or like water skiing or snowboarding or anything like that. High frame rate video is very important to your processing. Project-wide video event resampling, the smart adaptive interlacing if you have a camera that is interlaced. Project interchange, track automation mode, expanded edit mode, custom keyboard mapping, and real-time render. For the most part, it's just basically the ability to what you can do with your audio and what you can do with your video tracks. Like for instance, in Vegas Pro, you can you pretty much have unlimited video tracks, so you can have layer upon layer upon layer upon layer if you need to. And I've done some videos where I needed several layers. Movie Studio limits you to 200 tracks. Now you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to use 200 tracks. And even with what I do, I've never used 200 tracks. There are some people that do use 200 tracks because they'll separate it out. They'll have a track that's just me in the track, and they'll have a track that's just somebody else, and then B-roll in another track, and certain types of B-roll. That way they can split it out. Once again, you might never use it. You might just have your vlog, and you've got this one video straight up, which you end up chopping, cutting, and pasting. If you're not using all of these, then the $600 price tag might be a little bit too much for you. But if you need it, you can use it. So we've got the prices out of the way. We've got the basic ideas out of the way. Of course, if you want to get Vegas Pro, you can always go over to geekazine.com/Vegas Pro, and I'll have a link to purchase that. And of course, we'll do Movie Studio as well over at geekazine.com/Movie Studio if you want to get that. All right, let's move on from here. So basically, what I did was I set up. This is Vegas Pro. This is Movie Studio Pro. Now, as you can see, there is a big difference. This darker looking field area from the light gray. And this looks like Sony Vegas 13. Not too much difference. The biggest noticeable difference is the look of the buttons. And like I said, I've documented that before. But Movie Studio has a major change to it, as it has a darker theme to it, and I haven't found a way to change the color. So it looks like this, and it's very straightforward. You have your timeline. You can put in your different tracks, your audio tracks, your video tracks. You have your play controls down here. You have a couple compositing, different ways to composite. Up here you have your media center, our video effects, transitions, Explorer, project media. Just like with Vegas 14, you have the exact same thing. You have media generator, video effects, transitions, Explorer, project media. If you've used Movie Studio 13, you'll notice that the Movie Studio 13 had this advanced and basic mode, and that was meant for touch screens. Magix got rid of that. It's gone. And if you're using a touch screen, you'll have to deal with the buttons at that size. I'm not sure if there's a way to make them larger. I'm going to get me out of here. I'm going to show you these features up close and personal a little bit. Let's start by up on top here. You have your project, extract audio from CD, import DVD, camcorder disc, and of course the make the movie, which is the render area. And the render is going to be different between Movie Studio and Vegas because you have more render options. We got edit. As you can see with the edit, you have different options, cut and paste and stuff like that. It's all grayed out because I don't have anything selected. We have the view area where we can change our window layouts. Now, as you can see, we've got an organized area. We can save layouts. So once you get things going and you like the way it's set up, you can save it as that, or you can just use the default layout, which is what I normally do. Bring in and take out these boxes. Like if you don't want this preview area over, if you don't want this preview, let's do that. If you don't want this preview where my face is now, here we go. If you don't want this preview over here, all you have to do is just go up to the view and just kind of uncheck that area. Lots of customization there, just like with Vegas. So let's move on from here. We've got the insert area where you can insert your text, your empty event, your video tracks, your audio tracks, your generated media, your markers. You have your tools, and this, you'll notice that the tools will be a lot smaller here in Movie Studio because you'll have things like batch tools. You don't have that. You got your options where you can do automatic crossfade, you can do grid spacing, and then of course the help area. Now let's go over to Vegas, and I'm going to show you the difference here. So we go to File. That looks pretty straightforward. Edit, you'll get a little bit more here. You've got your navigate. Let me just do this really quick. You'll see a little bit more here on the edit. You got switches, takes, groups, stream, channels, and stuff like that. View, you have a little bit more if you go to the Windows layouts. Let's zoom this puppy back in. You go to View, you go to Windows layouts. You'll see that you've got an audio mixing layout and you've got a color correction layout. These are two things that Vegas Pro has that Movie Studio doesn't. So if you're taking like multiple cameras and you are mixing them together, like a Sony camera and a Canon camera, they have a color system inside the cameras. You basically have two different types of color palettes and you want to match them up. Maybe you want to match up the Canon to the Sony, or the Sony to the Canon, or the GoPro to the Sony to make them look as close as possible. That's where color correction comes in. And with Movie Studio, they're expecting you, it's one camera doing maybe some B-roll, talking head like this right now in there, and so you don't need too much on the color correction. Same thing with the audio. You're using the same microphone, you're in the same environment. Let's move on here. So we have insert. As you can see, we've got some, this is pretty much close to the same thing here. In the insert, we have tools. And like I said, it was scripting. I said batch, but it's scripting. And I can do some batch rendering. So it's great when you're doing like 2-minute videos and you want to get them all done. You want to set it up, go, and then turn around and maybe go to sleep or go watch a movie and come back and all of those videos are done. Options, probably got a couple more options in here, and of course the help, which is pretty much standard between the two. So that is the basics on here. Like I said, you have the audio mode, and I'm going to show you this really quick. In the view on Vegas, you have your window layouts. You have your default layout. This is the audio mixing layout, which brings all the audio stuff up here. And I only have 2 channels, but if I had like multiple audio channels, let's just add another audio track. As you can see, it adds it in there, and you can add assignable effects, insert buses and input buses. You can also go to color correction view, and as you can see, you have, this is the RGB parade mode. You can change that to waveform, you can change that to vector scope, however you feel comfortable with your editing. And of course, we can go right back to the default layout, which then you use to edit all this. This is the basic differences between Movie Studio and Vegas Pro. Now, once again, if you're just doing a talking head thing with some B-roll and some graphics, and that's the other thing is, I did put in some graphics. You get a basic new blue titler FX. So you can do very basic graphics. I have the professional version, of course. You can make some lower thirds like this one right here. So you can bring lower thirds into your videos. And then of course, if you've got plugins, you can upgrade those. So this is the same program that's being used right here. So I can bring in my lower thirds, my titles, so I don't have to recreate the wheel. And so if you're just doing simple talking heads, B-roll, and some layers and stuff like that, Movie Studio for $80 is a great purchase. Now, of course, these programs are Windows programs. You can't get them for Mac. So if you are switching over to Windows and want something powerful and useful and cheaper than something like, let's say, Adobe, because when you purchase this product, you purchase this product. It's not a 1-year lease. Other than that, I think that was pretty much it. Like I said, the other thing is the keyboard mapping, which is really nice. So if you're very much into doing keystrokes to do things, you can do that inside of Vegas Pro. You cannot do that inside of Movie Studio. And then of course the rendering is a lot faster, and it'll render as you go. But of course, Movie Studio, it does not have that feature. In fact, let's do that. Let's go over here, and then we'll bring up. This is basically what happens with Make Movie. Do you want to upload it to YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook device, or save it to hard drive? You choose that, and it gives you this box, and you can make it look, I think, yeah, if you go to advanced options, it'll look like a Vegas window when you do that, and it doesn't look good for this. So this is the render area, Vegas, and Movie Studio will look pretty similar to that. I've got my settings. I've created some templates. So I can upload to YouTube at a lower bit rate. With both programs, you need to have some sort of internet connection. And the reason why is because it authorizes for certain things. Like for instance, when you put in the first video, it's going to authorize your AAC. If you want to do an MP3 audio, it's going to authorize for MP3 audio. And then it just goes online and says, okay, you're registered, you're good to go for copy protection. And I'm totally for that. Just remember, you just got to be hooked up to the internet. Play with some of the settings before you go offline if you end up having a project in the Alps or something like that. Just to recap, you have Movie Studio, you have Vegas Pro. It's $80 for Movie Studio. It's $600 for Vegas Pro. It really depends on what you need it for. And of course, if you want to get Vegas Pro, go over to geekazine.com/Vegas Pro. And I'm just going to show you this really quick. This is the difference. This is Movie Studio once again, and this is Vegas 14. If you like the video, remember, hey, subscribe over at Geekazine. Everything is right here. Just think Geekazine. Just do a search on Geekazine. There you go. And my name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. This has been another video tutorial. Vegas 14 versus Movie Studio 14. Which one should you buy? I hope that has helped you in your purchase. Let me know what you end up getting, and talk about it more. And I'll do some more videos, some how-to videos, so you get more comfortable using both of these programs. So you guys geek out and take care.